weather, so happy together. Life is the weather, so happy together. So happy together. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
I think that only took about 5 years. It's about time, Chris. Thank you. So John was given a gift of a parrot. And this parrot was foul-mouthed and cantankerous and cranky, and he yelled at people. He was sarcastic, bitter-tempered. He was a piece of work. And John tried everything. He tried affirmations. He enrolled a practitioner for spiritual mind treatment. He played Yanni and Kenny G in the background, and he spoke soft and nice to him, and the parrot continued regaling him. Finally, one day, John had just had it. He lost his control. He grabbed the parrot and he shook it, and the parrot started yelling at him. And finally, he opened the freezer and he threw the parrot in the freezer and he slammed the freezer door. And the parrot's inside thumping around and making noise and banging and squawking and everything for a couple of minutes, and all of a sudden he falls silent. It's totally quiet for about a minute, and John gets concerned. And so he quickly opens the freezer door, and the parrot very slowly, gently hops out on John's arm. And it says, I obviously have offended you with my cantankerous behavior, and I apologize from the depths of my heart if I offended you, and I want to do everything I can, one, to make it up to you, and two, make sure I never do it again. So John's so taken back about this, he's startled, and he starts to ask the parrot what caused his quick change of behavior. And the parrot says, but I had a curiosity while I was thinking there in the freezer, and that curiosity is, what was it that the turkey did? Remember that. So this month, gratitude is the key. Finding at least the tiniest spark of gratitude for each event, activity, and experience makes the world go round a lot more kindly. And the trick is every experience, every exchange, every event, every situation. And today, the light of gratitude, gratitude lightens every load in life, in every expression of thanks. And we find more acceptance, and life fills with ever-abundant good when we come from that attitude of gratitude, with the light of gratitude. So the light has a dual meaning there. One, there's the light, and then there's lighten, to lighten. So let's turn the lights on gratitude today, and let's start by turning the lights on the light. Most important thing to do and realize and keep in mind, keep in our forebrain all the time, everywhere, every time we are, is that the light is inside, not outside. When the light's outside, we can be blinded by it. And when we turn away from it, we see our shadow, and we see the shadows of life. If we keep coming back to the light within, we can look from the light of consciousness, literally from that inner light. Carl Jung. Enlightenment is not about imagining figures of light, but of making the darkness conscious. And he goes further than that. He talks about awakening to the darkness that already exists within. And to the degree we try to deny it is the degree we're going to stumble over it. I love his definition of evil: militant ignorance. We do evil to ourselves even as people do evil to other people. We can do that as well. Militant ignorance. If we keep ourselves ignorant of our true nature, which is the light itself, if we keep ourselves ignorant of our true nature, meaning the God within, if we keep ourselves ignorant of that, we will tend to keep other people ignorant of theirs. Because just like 3-year-olds, we're more than willing to share our suffering. And so we lay it out there on other people, which is not what gratitude is about. Gratitude is completely different than that. It's the opposite of that, as a matter of fact. So by looking out upon light from this inner light, we can see from earlier this month that everything in our world is feedback about the consciousness behind it, or the consciousness that would cause it to be that way. And we tend to find that which we expect to find. We're aware of that because from the light of consciousness, we're looking with that light upon what's happening in real life. It's easier to see that our consciousness has caused this experience, and that we tended to experience that which we expected to experience or to find. So I've been climbing up Jan's tailpipe this last couple of days because she was convinced it's going to snow all next week. You know what the forecast says? It's going to snow all this next week. I keep telling her, you need to work on your consciousness. You need to work with a practitioner. Get in touch with the truth, the light of your truth, the light of life that lives within you, and see those clouds disperse and the sun shining like it is all week long. Or do you really want to move out of that apartment and into the RV in the snow? So I have this notion that I actually can control the weather unless Jan is controlling it first. Or something like that. Okay, so if we look from that light, then we start looking at there's a subtle distinction between appreciation and gratitude. Appreciation is what we have. That's the valuing of something. If we appreciate something, we recognize its value. Gratitude is what we state when we say, I thank you. So what do you expect from life? And in your life, what are you giving from? Be very clear, people. There's a quid pro quo relationship between what you look from and what you experience. A quid pro quo is a fact. That's all there is to it. And so, what are you giving from? Are you giving from gratitude? Are you giving from peace and ease? Are you giving from harmony? Are you giving from appreciation and awareness? Are you giving from that light within? Now, don't hear this as a guilt trip that if you don't do this, then you're not going to get that. This is not Santa Claus and coal for Christmas that I'm talking about. I'm talking about cause, consequence. Choice, result. It's nothing more than that. By giving from and with that light of awareness, that light of consciousness, all of a sudden things change. So there are two kinds of appreciation I was thinking about this morning. One is genuine appreciation, the other is artificial. So genuine appreciation, I think, is obvious. That's where what we do is we recognize and appreciate, and we're valuing something or someone. We value the sunrise, we value the mountains, we value another person in our life. We value something someone has done for us. We value an opportunity, etc. And that genuine appreciation is respect-filled. It's holding that in high regard, and the sense of value about it increases for us when we pay attention to it. The other kind, artificial appreciation, is a little different. Artificial appreciation. How many of you have seen Saturday's Voyeur? Oh, yeah, this is my crowd. So I was a regular season ticket holder for a long time while I was here. And this one particular one, it's all about all things Utah. And so this one particular year, the focus was ZCMY. And it was ZCMI. And these two brothers who ran ZCMI, or ZCMY, These two brothers were abusive to their employees. They paid them a pittance. They wanted free overtime from them. They were always guilt-tripping them to produce more and give more and love them more and give the company everything, all of their lives, etc. And they had a very interesting way of showing their appreciation, of saying thank you. They would stand together and launch themselves up and back. They would cross their arms, and together in harmony virtually, they would say, "Sure do appreciate ya." And that was more than a paycheck. Just think about it. If someone stood and looked down upon you and said, "Sure do appreciate ya," makes you want to give more of yourself, right? Not. And so that was part of the humor of this particular shtick they did around ZCMY and how abusive it was of the employees. Now, I'm sure it's a very different company today because it's a very different era in our world. Thank you very much. But that's the artificial appreciation I'm talking about that really focuses on manipulating someone, some other, to our design. Violence in our language can show up as this artificial appreciation, where we say thank you when someone behaves like we want them to become and like we want them to behave, instead of appreciating the fact that they have a mind of their own and they're wanting to do the best for whatever they can, for themselves, for other people around them, for their organization, or whatever. And so when people disagree with us, we don't thank them for that, do they? But if we are to be grateful for everything in our life, every experience, what about someone's disagreement? Can we find appreciation in? Because there's a gift there. There's an opportunity there to expand our possibilities, to expand an opportunity in our life. We get to learn something possibly. I won't say we get to learn patience because I don't have time for that. But with regard, you've heard me say that before. But the fact of the matter is, everything in our life is there for us to awaken to something that brought it to us. We brought it to ourselves. So are you feeding your life from an attitude of genuine gratitude? Meaning, are you seeding more genuine gratitude in your life? Hafiz, even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole world. That's appreciation. That's giving the gift we are naturally, organically. In Ernest Holmes in Creative Minded Success, a grateful attitude puts us in very close touch with power and adds much to the reality of the thing that we're dealing with, whatever it is. By finding genuine gratitude everywhere, all the time, it changes everything in our life. Each thank you is an external expression of that internal appreciation. So by looking from our inner light and considering, is my thank you an expression of appreciation or an attempt at manipulation? Think about that today as you go into this week. Is my thank you an expression of appreciation or an attempt at manipulation? So Holmes, when we constructively praise and creatively bless, life abounds with love, peace, and joy. Let goodness shine forth. Bless you. Let's pray together. The simple light of truth lives within me, lives within everyone. In fact, it is what lives the world. It lives all of life. I notice it in the breath. I notice it in the beating heart. I notice it in every glance from one person to another. I notice it as the shape of the planet and the seasons, all the life, however it expresses. I know the infinite lives each and all. And therefore, all that I know about that infinite, all about that life, I know as true about each part of that life, every person, every season, every event, every situation. And I call it perfect, as it is. So I know each word spoken this morning manifests fully. It wants to express itself. It wants to be experienced. And so I also know that each person lets that experience in. So as these individual prayers continue, I speak my word for this beloved community, indeed all of life. And I know that perfect seed that lives within every expression now blossoms forth as that expression's true nature. That if it be joy, if it be perfect health, if it be ease and flow and harmony, if it be ease and flow in a relationship, no matter what it is, that seed of perfection now comes to fruition. And each person spoken about this morning settles into and lets in that experience, that perfection, that wholeness, that well-being. So fed by an appreciation for life, fed by the reality that life flows in, life flows out, life flows in, life flows out, I'll let that cycle continue. I'll let it expand. And I know each has already evolved into that next great expression. So joy fills me and my face rises in a smile. I feel that sense of lightness and feel the gratitude right there within my body. So I simply let it be. I let it go. And together each steps into the flow of life again by saying, and so it is.